little smoother. Did you ask people to get into the chat room?
Yep.
Okay, I don't see anybody in the chat room now. Make sure they go to ccs.chat or cosmiccafeshow.com/chat.
I told everyone to go to your website to look for it first. Find the link there.
3, 2, 1. Blast off! Have you guys caught up with me yet? There's that famous music I love so bad. There's my music. Let's get the background better. There we go. There we go. And welcome to the Cosmic Cafe Show, where the paranormal is normal. This is our live daily specials videocast. This being episode number 74. 74 of these babies already. We started late October, and look at that. We're already up to 74 of these live broadcasts. Can you believe that, Jeff?
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. That's the voice, the disembodied voice of Jeff Krause, who will be on here momentarily. But let me tell you, today's date is Friday, February 12th. Doggone it. We missed Friday the 13th by one whole day. Oh, well. And over the next few minutes, we're going to cover and highlight what we feel are the best in space: UFOs, aliens, abductions, Bigfoot. Actually, we don't have any Ghosts and Hauntings tonight, and we don't have any wild cards, but we do have a video clip, and we have Jeff Krause with all his great stuff. Let's pop Jeff up on the screen there for us. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Well, how you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing good. Welcome back to the cafe.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back on again.
Well, hey, it's always my pleasure, and you sent me via email today a bunch of goodies, lots of great slides, and I've been so doggone busy today. That's why we're running a couple of minutes behind getting started live tonight. But so I really haven't had a chance to look at them, so I'm going to get to discover these pretty much the same time the audience does. So thank you very much for sending those over and coming back to the cafe. I guess I should remind the people that don't know who you are. You are the, state director for MUFON, a field investigator, and you write a regular column for MUFON as well as some other publications.
That's right, and I'm a member of the MUFON Star Team as well, so yeah.
MUFON Star Team?
I do the blog, the Field Investigators Toolbox, and also, contribute quite a few articles, different places on the internet. Awesome. Mainly UFO Digest, so yeah, I keep busy.
Hey, we were a little rushed getting you set up here to get started. I don't suppose you could throw a little extra light on your face while I'm getting the paranormal news done, would you?
Absolutely.
All right, well, while he's getting more light on...
Does that help?
There we go. While he's getting more light on his face, let's get to those headlines. And to start off, let's just go ahead and show you Jeff's website for his Facebook page. And we have the next page here is his Field Investigators Toolbox at blogspot.com. Of course, those will, the links and everything will be up there on our daily specials recap. And it's up on our website now because Jeff's been on the show a few times. So we wanted to make sure we covered that. But next in for our top story today, before we do start the other paranormal headlines, a tweet out from the Wall Street Journal. Ooh. Yes, that's President Obama. He tells school children that if aliens contact humans, then he'll let them know it happened. Now, we're not political here, and I promise you that I won't make this political. But everyone in our community of the paranormal, especially our friends over at MUFON, already know from the mountains and mountains of evidence and eyewitness testimony and everything that aliens do exist. So, Mr. President, respectfully, either you're lying to school children and the rest of us, or you're just very oblivious and not very observant of your surroundings. Okay, well, I thought I might have heard a laugh or two there. Yeah, the people have alien okay, never mind. All right. Okay, it went over like a fart in a spacesuit. My apologies. What's it? Hold on, I think I hear a knock at the door. FBI, please open up. Oh, shit, the FBI are here. Damn, that was fast. That was fast, Jeff. That was
fun. It must be for they're selling cookies, because generally when they're in on business, they really don't knock.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'll take some of your space alien cookies. Hey, that sounds like a great sponsor for the Cosmic Cafe show. Instead of Girl Scout cookies, yes, you could get Alien Scout cookies. I should make those up.
You could actually probably bake a batch, I'm sure, and
yeah, we could talk to our friends over at Baking with Bigfoot, see if they got some alien cookies there.
There you go. That's the place to do it for sure.
All right, so for our space and UFO category tonight, thanks to our friends over at Roundtown UFO Society. They're always tweeting out great stuff, and today is no exception. Thanks for this awesome story. Is this a 230-foot UFO seen orbiting an asteroid? Well, Jeff, did you happen to see this story earlier today? Did you hear about this?
No, I sure did not. I haven't had a chance to review a lot of the news today. I had one of those JOB things.
Just like me.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, why don't you tell me all about it, and I'll let you know my opinion. Anyway.
I'll do better than that. I'm going to play a portion of the 4-minute clip in a couple minutes from now, just so people can see and kind of decide for themselves. And if they want to go see the full video, they can.
Yeah, excellent idea.
Isn't that an excellent idea? Every once in a while, by the way, don't tell my wife every once in a while I have excellent ideas, because that would completely ruin her image of me.
I know.
Oops, I hit the wrong one. Oh, no, this is our aliens and extraterrestrials category. Just a kind of a reminder, our top story more than covered aliens for us today. All right. So for our not a real sponsor, look at that burger. Outback Steakhouse. Now, they're not a sponsor. I'm not getting paid to say this, but dang, doesn't that burger look awesome? I mean, if they want to send me a few free coupons. Speaking of free coupons, Jack in the Box right now, all you have to do is just go on their website or whatever and sign up for one of those free $1 million burgers. And I got one. They send you a coupon via email. Did you do that, Jeff? That is
no.
It's their new Double Jack or whatever. Wow, that's a good burger. I mean, it's not quite as good as this Outback Steakhouse burger, unless of course Jack in the Box wants to sponsor the show.
Hey,
Hey, maybe instead of that big dome head, they could get an alien head for Jack. Huh?
Perhaps they would sell more burgers that way.
I think
eat there more often.
Definitely sell me more burgers that way.
Absolutely. I'd eat there more often,
So for our abduction experiencer category, thanks to Disinformation on Twitter, that's their handle, Disinformation, for tweeting this article about religious engineering, about what alien abduction has to do with the CIA, the finders, child abuse. That looks like the wrong picture. That totally looks like the wrong picture. That was the wrong picture. Whose picture is that? I can't even read it. Hold on a second. I'm oh, this is the Bigfoot one. Oh my gosh. The other picture that I needed never got posted right. Well, it's forget about this picture for a minute.
What picture?
What picture?
Already forgotten.
Well, yeah. Where's my picture of Cricket? Do we have a standing by picture? All right. Pay no attention to the picture on the screen. Jeff, this is one of my most serious miscalculations for this show in all 74 episodes.
Hey, I'm glad I could be a part of it, my friend.
Hey, you know what? Thank you. But it was a great one because they had these quotes from Whitley Strieber's book, Solving the Communion Enigma. Have you read that book yet?
No, I haven't. I've read Communion and a couple of his other books, but that one I haven't.
Yeah, me neither. But, Whitley, if you want to send us the books, we'll be happy to review them and write our review about them. Okay, anyways, so I'm going to quote from the article that they had written. A quote, I got to get my quotey things up, sorry. In the third chapter of Solving the Communion Enigma, the author Whitley Strieber discusses a shadowy organization called the Finders. This organization activates this organization's, boy, I'm just batting 1,000 tonight, aren't I? This organization's activities first came to light when Reported by the Washington Post in February 1987. 2 white males were arrested in Tallahassee Park with 6 disheveled children, all under the age of 7. So, very creepy stuff, but basically they're trying to make the case that, they're trying to make the case that maybe alien abduction isn't necessarily always alien abduction. So anyways, I have the full article link for you, and where you can see the correct photo. That'll be out in my daily specials and my CCS live hashtag. All right, now pretend we're going to the correct slide, which we're now on the correct slide. Hey, for our Bigfoot category tonight, thanks to Ed Brown. Hey, I like his name, by the way. Anyways, hey Ed, like your name. For posting this notice about the International Bigfoot Conference coming up in September this year up in Kennewick, Washington. So, honestly, I haven't had a chance to check my calendar to see if those dates are available, but if it is, I might just abduct my wife and dogs and make a weekend of it. What do you think, Jeff? Pretty good?
I think you probably have room in the back to throw me and my sleeping bag in as well, so yeah, cool.
Hey, you want to pitch in for some gas money? Well, no problem.
No problem, yeah.
We'll just get this. By the way, I skipped over the Ghosts and Hauntings because the ghosts were not out tonight, so no stories for Ghosts and Hauntings. And
if you don't see a ghost, does that mean he's not there, or does it mean he's just a really good ghost?
Right. Whatever he said. So, by the way, I mentioned earlier our Twitter hashtag. If you want to find all these stories, I have put them up on Twitter and some of them up on Facebook using the CCS Live hashtag. So that's all you need to do. So while you're there on Twitter, if you're not already following the Cosmic Cafe Show, hey, why don't you follow us? What's our follow handle? Oh yeah, Cosmic Cafe Show. Just follow us on Twitter. Join the 13,000 plus other Twitter followers. Facebook, I think we got 4,000 or 5,000 page likes, and we're even on Instagram, believe it or not. I don't know why though. Sometimes I really wonder about that site. But anyways, and hey, while you're on our website, if you feel like donating, checking the website. Speaking of which, I don't see anybody in the chat room yet. Well, that's hopefully when Jeff gets going, some people will jump in the chat room and ask Jeff some questions. But while you're on the website, if you enjoy the show and you want to keep us independent, keep us free of the man, don't let us sell out, dude. So we're not on some sucky channel saying sucky stuff. Oh, wait, we suck anyways, though. Well, okay, well, maybe don't donate. All right, well, whatever. Here, let me bail myself out. To Jeff. Hi, Jeff. How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm doing great, and thanks again for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Oh, you're most welcome. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
So you brought lots of goodies for us tonight, huh?
Well, yeah, I got a lot of stuff about tonight, hopefully.
That's awesome. What happened? Okay. I don't know. Keep talking.
Hear me okay? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Why don't you go ahead and throw up that first slide?
Oh, you want to go to the slides? Okay, man. This is a man of... Oh, wait, Jeff. We got a video we promised people.
Oh, no, you promised.
Okay, I promised them. Here, let's get the
I want to see
video
it too.
up.
Yeah.
This is that 230-foot UFO.
Secure team, it seems that NASA has found a 70 meters large UFO orbiting.
Anyways, it just kind of keeps looping and playing
Earth.
like that.
The asteroid in question is called.
It's definitely a weird looking thing.
86. And although
can you hear the audio on that?
No, I hear no audio at all.
Yeah, that's strange. For some reason, the Skype guests can't seem to hear the audio very well. Don't know why. All right, well, let's go to your slides, because that's just going to keep looping for about 4 minutes.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, that reminds me of insemination videos more than anything. Doesn't look like an asteroid or a UFO, but hey, what do I know, right?
Yeah.
So, this photo in front of us might be something that some of the viewers are a little bit aware of, possibly. Little incident from February 25th, 1942.
Comes back to my memory like yesterday.
Just yesterday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Perhaps if I said the Battle of Los Angeles, it would refresh your memory a little bit. But this picture here, this is where the searchlights are converging on an unknown object in the skies over Los Angeles. And it was during an early morning air raid, and more than 1,400 anti-aircraft shells were fired at this object. Surprisingly, nothing ever came down there from it, except for a lot of debris, which caused a lot of damage. I'll show you some pictures of that in a little bit. But the incident is referred to as the Battle of Los Angeles. It really was one of the more terrifying things to ever happen in the United States on our national soil. My dad, who was in the Navy back then, was so upset about this incident that even up until his death, he couldn't talk about it without getting emotional.
No kidding.
So a lot of people were really on edge about this.
So your dad personally
UFO, well, he saw the carnage and the shelling and the results afterwards of it.
Okay.
He did not see the craft itself, but because he was a few miles away from where the action was, but he could hear the gunfire and they could see the searchlights, up in the sky searching for something.
Okay.
But there was people that he was close to who got injured, and it was a pretty scary thing because this was not that long after Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happened December 7th, so this is literally just 10, 12 weeks later, and the nation, of course, is still jumpy and very nervous because of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
The next day, on February 26th, the Times published a photo page with a retouched version of this photo. And maybe if you can go to slide 2, I think that might show it a little bit.
For the right amount of money, I will.
Go to slide 3, please. You could dump 2 and go to slide 3.
Yeah, no. Okay.
There we go. This is the retouched version.
Okay.
And as you can see, they did this version here so that it would kind of stand out the pattern of the lights and how it might look to an observer that was actually there. Because the first photo that we showed was more of it's the archival Times photo, of course, but due to the technique of reproducing photographs into newspapers at the time, it lost a lot of the nuances of what the scene might have looked like. So this retouched version shows the sky a little bit darker and just a few flashes of artillery fire going off above the object, still very clearly caught in the crossfire of the beams of the searchlights. You can make out the shapes. Now, I'll be truthful, Eric. I don't know the shape of every single aircraft in our arsenal. Most of them, but not every single one.
Right.
I cannot tell you one that I'm familiar with that is saucer-shaped.
Well, it's a little difficult for me to see this image that well. Are you talking about like it's right here?
The convergence right there?
Is that where I circled it in purple? Is that the saucer, or are you talking about it's actually in the light here?
Actually, where you circled right there, that's where the craft is right there.
The second bigger circle?
The one you just erased.
So it's like just in this area?
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly where it is right there.
Okay. Just trying to make it a little easier for the viewers, because like you said, the photo isn't the greatest. Has anybody tracked down the original photographer and asked him if he has a negative of that photo that he can share with people?
The original negative and the retouched negative are both at UCLA in the archives there, in the photo archives.
Uh-huh.
And, with going through the proper channels, they are available for viewing, I believe, and there's copies posted so anyone can find them. Not really need in this day and age to go look at the original there in person, because all the information can be digitally transmitted just as easily these days, and there's not any nuances of it that you're going to pick up. The negative is so old that you're not going to discover anything new from it.
Okay.
Now, in view of the considerable public excitement and confusion that was caused Okay, this is an editorial I want to read for you word for word here because this is right out of the Times. In view of the considerable public excitement and confusion caused by yesterday morning's supposed enemy air raid over this area and its spectacular official accompaniments, it seems to the Times that more specific public information should be forthcoming from the government sources on the subject, if only to clarify their own so far conflicting statements about it. The 5-hour blackout was ordered by the Army's 4th Interceptor Command, and the ensuing heavy and long continued anti-aircraft firing was also on official Army orders. It seems clear, then, that the responsible Army officials in this area were convinced that enemy aircraft were overhead and that no effort should be spared to shoot them down before they could attack by bombs or otherwise. In its official statement, made public later yesterday from its San Francisco headquarters, the Western Defense Command said that unidentified aircraft were reported in the area, that there was a considerable amount of anti-aircraft firing, but that no bombs were dropped and no planes were shot down. It adds that reports are conflicting and every effort is being made to ascertain the facts.
Okay.
Well, now, yes, reports certainly are conflicting because by all accounts, what people saw there did not resemble anything anyone knew to be an airplane. Now, whether
that's
anyone
very interesting.
Well, I've heard, now this is not anything I can prove, but I've heard that the Secretary of the Army at the time, George Marshall, stated that planes were shot down, something was shot down over the San Bernardino Mountains and over Santa Monica. 2 objects came down then. Now, you won't find any story about objects coming down, what they were, anything about retrieval of any objects. And believe me, I've been searching for years. I haven't found anything yet.
Yeah.
And really, the closest I could think of anything even close to being something related to that in the San Bernardino Mountains is the Navy has a testing center up Azusa Canyon there where I believe they do torpedo testing and things like that.
Okay.
It's mainly an underground facility. Maybe somewhere in that region could have been something involved with the collection of any of the debris around there. But having grown up at the base of the San Bernardino Mountains and lived there most of my younger life, knowing people in that area, something would have come down in those mountains. I'm pretty sure we'd have known about it, and there'd be a lot more people talking about some kind of wreckage coming down there. So it's my belief from all the checking that I've done that nothing came down from all the artillery that was thrown at it. No damage was done whatsoever that anyone could tell. The object kept traveling at the same speed, much as the way an elephant might react if a swarm of mosquitoes were to come pester it, just nonchalantly carrying on its way and not caring about all the stuff we were throwing at it.
2 comments real quick. The white
Sure.
dots that are around the search beams, like here and here and here, those are those like explosions from little artillery shells?
Absolutely, exactly what that is. Yes.
Okay. And my second comment is for the viewers that watched last night's show with Bob Schroeder. You're familiar with Bob Schroeder and his book, The UFO Enigma?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if you got to watch last night's show or not, but he talks about how he takes quantum mechanics theory and a lot of physics, math and theory, and he explains how UFOs actually can exist. We actually have the science behind it. And
sure.
He was talking about that last night, that very thing. He was saying that UFOs surround themselves with what he believes are like micro black holes. The very same things they're trying to experiment with at the CERN superconductor thing in Switzerland, Geneva. But he was saying that that a pilot had been shooting at a UFO, and he said it looked like the bullet went at the UFO, and then it looked like the bullet went around the UFO and then continued on and didn't disrupt the UFO whatsoever. And it's because of the gravitational force of these micro black holes that are being created around the UFO. It's like a force field, if you will, or and it just causes these bullets to just in essence, just go straight around it without
I'm-
even affecting
I'm
it
kind of
whatsoever.
stupefied. How do they see a bullet traveling?
The fighter pilot was shooting at it. You can see the tracer rounds. And
Okay, so it was the tracer round you saw go around it? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, because the pilot is witness account said he shot at it, and the bullets went like at the craft, but it didn't hit the craft. It just looked like it went around the craft and then continued on in the trajectory. So it'd be kind of like the bullet going like this, and then it goes around, and then goes like continues on.
That is a really good argument for the gravity well theory in the propulsion of these crafts. And
Yeah.
I do think that they use some form of zero-point energy in their propulsion system. And of course, we know that the effects of using something like that could be a buckling of the space-time continuum. So you could get not just travel between point A to point B, but also from point when later, point now to point yesterday, you know.
Well, Bob didn't go into time
and
travel,
space. Well, you know, the time and space are inextricably knitted together.
Yeah.
And you warp one, you're definitely going to be affecting the other.
Yeah.
Now, we know absolutely, you know, not even a scratch on the surface of that technology. We have some theories as to how that would work and some ideas of how we think we might understand it to work.
Right.
We don't have any working models for us to use, obviously, or we'd all be zipping around in our fancy little Jetson cars.
Well, pause
this
you
is
there.
a lot of
that is, we don't have that we know of. Now, we may have black government, you know, projects and stuff like that, military that's hiding this from us. I mean, how long did it take them to tell us about a fast-flying airplane? You know, was it the SR-71? It took them decades before they even admitted it existed. And, you know, a UFO is much more substantial, especially if it's interstellar, and it can go, like, based on the math and theory that Bob was talking about just last night, he's saying we could travel to the nearest sun, which is like, I don't know, 25 million light years away or whatever it is. He said we could get there in like 25 minutes using this technology.
Sure. Absolutely.
And
that's
so
totally,
it's like if our
totally
government
feasible.
recovered these crafts and has successfully back engineered these things, then it's very possible that the black shadow government of the United States, or who knows what, maybe the world government, you know, maybe they really do have the UFOs and are withholding it from us.
Okay, Eric, I accept your challenge. And if you're game, next Friday we can do a show on the secret space program. I have more than, in fact, you might have to make it a special 2-hour show, because the material I have is from the last secret space program conference in San Mateo. All the speakers, including my friend Robert Morningstar, was there.
Awesome.
Richard Dolan.
Awesome. Yeah, if you have permission to use it, then we can do 2 hours.
Well,
I mean,
I covered it and did the article on it on UFO Digest. I have a lot of, you know, my own photos from it and a lot of the work from it, and my articles, of course, covering the conference.
Yeah.
And the information I took away from there, which I believe the whole purpose was to disseminate that information.
Yeah.
I won't be stepping on anyone's toes by covering it, the highlights, and showing a few slides and explaining what they had to say. It is a very fascinating idea for those that aren't familiar with it, that this country actually does possibly have a secret space program, and there is considerable proof to that. But not only that, but a whole breakaway civilization as well.
Right.
Which, if you're going to have one, you pretty much are going to have the other, because you need a way to finance it.
Yep. And
I have plenty of documentation to show how that financing was done, how it was carried out through special, unacknowledged special access programs, which are even deeper and more clandestine than black budget programs. So yeah, we could have a fascinating couple hours going on that, but we digress. Can you go ahead and go back to that? I think it's slide 4.
Yeah, give me a moment here to do that, and then do that, and then do... You want to go backwards, huh?
No, forwards to the discolored one with the pictures of the damage.
This
okay,
one?
Well, this is good. The one after that is the one I'm talking about, but this one here, this
No.
back up. Right here. Okay, that's the one I'm talking about. But go to the Army, says it's real quick. Okay, never mind. Perfect.
Where do you want me to go?
Right
There
there.
we go.
Stop. Okay. So on this one, I believe this was the 26th of February. Okay, the Army says in no uncertain terms that the alarm was real. And it goes into extensive deal about what the blackout was and the roaring guns that were fired again. Now, nowhere in any of the publications, and I think this has a lot to do with the times and the war and intelligence and everything, but nowhere is it printed anywhere that it was an unidentified flying object.
Okay.
Although everyone knows it was unidentified and it was flying, but they purposely stayed away from that term.
Do you think
Maybe because they just didn't want that getting out into the public vocabulary at the time.
Right.
I think they just didn't want the scuttlebutt out there. They were more worried, that maybe it was Japanese. But I believe the people that were higher up and really knew a little bit more of what was going on were even more nervous and more scared because of the fact they had no idea what it was. That was the scariest issue.
Very possible. That would that ignorance is what causes most fear, and if they're very fearful themselves, then they're definitely going to hide it from the public.
Not knowing anything about it when you're supposed to be the top of the game, the head of the brass, the big cheese, and all you can tell them is, I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't fly very far.
Yeah.
Go ahead, next slide real quick, the discolored one.
Okay, hang on a second here.
This will show a little bit of the damage. You can skip. There we go, right here. Some of these, I particularly like the one of the old car with the holes back by the spare tire in the rear end there. If you're looking at that, those look just like rounds from a heavy-duty machine gun or something.
Are you talking about right here?
Yep. Now, I worry about this every New Year's and 4th of July when all the yahoos go out with their firearms and start shooting up in the sky, if they actually realize that what comes up must come down.
Yes.
And, some of these people that were out there with their artillery fire shooting at this thing had to have in the back of their mind wondering, where's that round going if it's not hitting that thing? What's going to happen? Who's on the other side of my line of fire? Because, those hills up there, while they look dark and you don't see anything there, anyone that knows that area knows that there's roads across there. Everything was blacked out because of the wartime blackout, but Griffith Observatory's right up there.
Yeah.
There are homes all over those hillsides. So imagine what it must have been like for the people along there, having all this incoming fire coming in their direction and everything. I'd have been more freaked out than that than I would have been from the war. But yeah, you can see there was quite a bit of damage from this. The one gentleman in the lower right corner there is holding what appears to be a very good-sized artillery shell. Well, not the shell, but the actual projectile itself.
Okay.
And, that's a hefty projectile,
Yeah.
Imagine if that hit anyone, it would kill them instantly.
Oh, my
you
God.
don't need anything that big to hurt someone. Even if it's falling back down and just tumbling from that height, that can cause serious damage.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at the hole in the center picture, the hole in the ceiling there in that poor lady's study. And
you're talking about up here?
Yeah. So this is why people, whenever they talked about that afterwards, it was a sensitive subject for a long time. Not because so much maybe it was a UFO, but because of the very real damage that this event caused. Obviously, we're shooting at something, and it was there for long enough for them to fire 1,400 rounds at it. What was it? We know now that it was not in any way, shape, or form a flight of Japanese. There was no ships near the coast that could have supported a flight of airplanes coming in. We know that it wasn't any other country involved in the war. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was this that was being fired at? Nobody landed later at an airport and said, hey, you bozos were shooting at me. I almost got my tail shot off. seems to me if it had been a normal pilot or anyone that belonged there, they would have had a story to tell when they landed, and we'd know about that. So perhaps it was some type of extraterrestrial craft out to check out what's going on. That was the center of our industry during the wartime right there.
You brought up a very interesting point about pilots, because radios do go out, but there's a certain procedure for pilots to follow when their radio goes out that they can use to, I guess, signal that, hey, we're a friendly. We just our radio is out and we need to land. And there's a very definite procedure in the book for them to do that. Right. So if it had been just a passenger airplane of some sort going through, they certainly wouldn't have riddled it full of or tried to shoot at it with 1,400 rounds of bullets.
Absolutely.
Because the plane would have followed. There's just no way. I mean, the radar. I think that this was pre-radar. I know World War II, their radar was coming out.
Well, 42, I think radar was still a new development, and I don't believe that it was any. I mean, they didn't have portable radar units like they do now.
Yeah.
And I don't think they had anything near. Maybe Burbank Airport might have been close enough to pick up something on it if they had radar then.
Yeah.
That's a good question and something I want to look into, so I have a better answer on that next time I'm asked it. But it's my understanding that no, there was not any radar in play at the time.
But they got 8 searchlights from what I'm counting right there in the picture.
Right.
8 searchlights. They would have been able to see wings and a tail on the
In
thing.
reality, there's more. There were more than that. Okay, these are augmented photos a little bit.
Yeah.
They want you to see those beams.
Yeah, you can't really see a beam.
I think there was probably more than that, though, that were aimed on it and trained on it at the time.
Yeah.
And these are the giant Klieg lights at the time. These things are huge and very bright.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way it would have been and like you said, once the pilot landed, he would have been all, what were you guys doing?
Yeah. How come you couldn't hit me? I was only doing 25 knots. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great story there.
They would have easily downed a regular passenger airplane. Easily.
Yeah. Yeah. No question.
So,
well, let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
All right. Hang on a second here. Okay.
I think this might be a photo that a lot of people are familiar with.
Okay. Give me a moment. Next one we got. This one, huh?
Oh! I had to put this in there for humor. I figured a little bit of levity in the middle here would help us out.
Absolutely.
A lot of people ask me, why do I think that we are in quarantine with the aliens? Why are they not in a rush to make contact with us or to embrace us into their great galactic brotherhood? And I think this cartoon here pretty much sums it up. When your major occupation is tribal warfare and killing each other, and this is what the view is from outer space, well, you tend to avoid that neighborhood. Doesn't look like a very nice place to drive into.
Well, you make when you said neighborhood, you kind of brought to just this thing in my head. It's like, okay, why don't we go into bad neighborhoods that have lots of gang violence, lots of gun violence, areas that have a big reputation, like there's areas in the city of Oakland that have a very big reputation of, you don't want to be a particular ethnic background at night in a broken down vehicle in that neighborhood. Or same with Compton, same with East LA,
Sure.
Plenty of other places across the country as well. We're just more familiar with California because we live here, but so you can imagine space aliens, they're looking down on Earth and we're all violent and going to war with each other and killing each other over religion is most peaceful. I mean, that one just nails it. 100% nails it.
Yeah.
Because you can't blame them. It's the same thing. It's like, would you go, at this time of night into, some dark, seedy neighborhood that has a reputation of people getting mugged, robbed, raped, whatever, Would you do it?
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, the viewer.
I live in
Would
San
you do
Luis
it?
Obispo. We have just about zero crime. It's really not zero, but compared to LA or someplace like that, it might as well be zero. So we have the same troubles every other city does, just a lot less of it. Yeah. And the people here, well, this is the neighborhood that the aliens might stop in. In fact, I think they did a couple times. I have a couple cases from here. So, that bolsters my viewpoint. Okay, go ahead and roll it to the next one. This is the photo I thought everyone would really love. These are the two photos that I thought would be the cream of the crop for tonight.
And before I do that, I just want to remind people that are tuning in a little bit late. Jeff Krause is the state director with MUFON. He's a field investigator. He's also an author. He writes for several publications, including MUFON's website. He has the Field Investigators Toolbox?
Yep.
And he has a Facebook page and a regular website. We gave that out earlier. We'll definitely include it on the daily specials. I just want to make sure those of you tuning in late, if you have questions popping into your head, hey, it's Friday night. If you're not going out on a date, or whatever, you have nothing better to do, pop on over to our website, join into the chat. We'd love to get your questions, and that's over at cosmiccafeshow.com/chat. Or just make it really easy on yourself. Just type ccs.chat. It's one of those new domains, instead of .com, it's .chat. So ccs.chat. And that'll just get you straight over. You can watch the show. You can pop in your chat questions. There's no registration, no personal information you got to give. I made it super easy for you. Non-intrusive. You can be anonymous as you want. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick, Jeff. And let's get to the next slide that you mentioned.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. This is my gift to everyone out there. Happy Valentine's Day.
Hold on.
This is the first photo of the night from a famous incident, which is known as. Oh, okay. Well, on May 11th, 1950, two of the most notorious UFOs of all time taken on a farm near McMinnville by a farmer named Paul Trent. This being the first photo of the set. Now. Okay. These photos have stood through the test of time. They've been analyzed, reanalyzed, and then analyzed some more. And to my knowledge, they stand the test of time. They appear to be objects beyond description, unidentified, flying through the air above their farm. Mrs. Trent was outside getting finished feeding her rabbits when she noticed a large disc-shaped object approaching from the northeast. She called out to Mr. Trent, who joined her to look at the mystery device, and after a few moments, he went back in the house and got his camera. Yeah. When he got back out, he picked a spot to stand and took this first picture, and then he wound the film for the next picture. Now, cameras back then, they're not like today when you just boom, 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 take photos real quick. It actually took a while. You had to physically turn a knob and wind the film. You also had to watch the number meter and make sure that the film went exactly to the right spot. Otherwise, you would be in danger of double exposing your film.
Right.
So there was a bit of a trick to it. Now, excuse me a second here. Let me find my note. Okay. Now, Mr. Trent did wait until he went through the whole roll of film before he got the pictures developed.
Okay.
And then they were displayed for a full month later at the local bank.
Oh, wow.
And that's where a reporter named Powell, who worked for the McMinnville telephone register, saw the photos, and he convinced the Trents to let him publish the story and the pictures.
Oh.
Now, it took a little bit of coaxing because, of course, the Trents were afraid they might get into some kind of trouble from the government. Mm-hmm. They didn't want the Imperial stormtroopers coming through their door.
Right.
But the photographs in the story wound up in the June 26, 1950 issue of Life magazine.
Wow.
Some of the listeners and viewers out there tonight might be old enough to remember Life magazine. It was a very stellar publication, one of my favorite magazines to view when I was a child. Probably the only magazine I appreciated more would have been National Geographic. But really, Life always had the great photos, and it always had the great stories right then. So I was pretty crushed when they actually folded and went under. But for them to carry a story like this is, really incredible because it was a major publication at the time.
Life magazine was huge.
It was probably one of the biggest publications, I would dare say, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Now, of course, the negatives were borrowed from the Powells. They didn't get them back for another 17 years, believe it or not.
God.
Talk about lending something out and waiting for it. So I imagine, they probably at some point thought they'd never get them back again.
Yeah.
But after the analysis was done, they were finally sent back. And no signs of manipulation of the negative, no visible means of support for the UFO picture. So it's remained for over half a century as a very good photo of a UFO. I don't know if you want to try and go to the second slide.
I can try.
There we go. There's
It worked.
another copy of it. And you don't need to go to those other slides, really, because this is the last one that's any good on there. And I think people would probably rather see this and the slide before it rather than other stuff anyway. But McMinnville, Oregon is having a UFO festival coming up in the... Gosh, I had the brochure out. I was going to send you a copy of it. I didn't. I'm going to send it for next week so that you'll have it and we can tell people about the UFO festival up there. Because maybe if it's in time with the Bigfoot festival...
Hey, there you go.
Catch two cool things at once there. You never know.
That'd be ideal.
So, wouldn't it?
That would be ideal.
But photos like this one and the preceding one, I think I probably like the shot before a little bit better than this one here, because this one kind of squashes things. It's from a different angle.
Yeah.
That one kind of stretches and shows a little bit better view of it, I think.
Well, it's interesting. You can kind of see some sort of like something sticking out of it. Oops.
Exactly.
It's right there.
And, if you saw the photos from the Laguna Lake UFO that I showed a couple weeks ago, and when I did the analysis of those photos, there was similar appendages sticking out from the disc. Now, what that might be, your guess is as good as mine. Aerofoil, because it looked cool. Was it their version of the nice little Cadillac fin, so they had a stylish model? I don't know. Perhaps it's antenna or something to do with the way the propulsion system of the craft. Really don't know. And you don't see too many type of discs like that.
Yeah.
Most of the classic disc photos show a bubble there, and not, for all we know, that's some 6 foot tall guy standing there in the middle of the thing going, "Come on, get me." We just don't know. We don't have the technology to enhance that any better than it is right now at this point. But I think it's striking when you look at this photo, the next one, and you compare them to, say, the slow UFO photo. They all have the same type
Let me
quality.
stop you real quick. When you say slow,
Sure.
you mean San Luis Obispo? Just for the viewers that don't know what you meant.
Right. The Project Blue Book
Right.
photo of the UFO from San Luis Obispo on July 7th, 1967.
Yep.
Very similar in appearance to how the disc looks in this photo.
True.
But we know from this preceding photo that that little rise around the center there may not be a bubble or a dome in the center of the craft. It might just be something rising up like an antenna.
Yeah.
But still, that is a very similar photo to the slow UFO, and very similar to a lot of very striking UFO photographs from the time that have withstood the test of time. Now, I'm not talking about these god-awful, fantastical ones that we find ourselves confronted with daily on YouTube and sites like Third Phase of the Moon. I'm talking about genuine photos of UFOs, which there are a few out there that have withstood the test of time, and they're not photoshopped. Photoshop wasn't even invented then.
Right.
They're not cut and paste, because you can tell when that is done. The negatives are intact and show no trace of being tampered with on these few photos, which I deem to be some of the best evidence in ufology. A lot of people see a photo with...
In all fairness, back then, because people are going to say, but Jeff, there's double exposure. And so in all fairness, back then, they could have been subject to double exposure trickery, and there were certainly people that tried to do that and pull that off. And
Absolutely.
so, but you
However,
said that these negatives were taken by Life magazine, and they tried analyzing them for, I
they
guess,
went through
17 years.
they
But
went through multiple sources of scrutiny, not just Life magazine, but also the photos, I'm sure, went through the black ringers, I like to call it, of agencies which we don't even know the acronyms for,
yeah,
who I'm sure severely interested in finding out and analyzing and coming up with some answers to this on their own.
right,
Surprisingly, we don't see too many memos, memorandums, FOIA requested paperwork, CIA files, NSA files, or anything like that coming out from this incident because it was so transparent at the time. That doesn't mean they do not exist. It means that people think the questions were all answered and that nobody else is asking any other questions about it,
yeah.
which probably is the furthest thing from the truth.
Well, one of the big troubles of double exposure is you have to be extremely clever doing it, because double exposure doubles everything. The light exposure
Right.
to the film and all that,
Right.
the dust particles that are on the lens, everything is exposed twice.
And I
And
believe it
every
would be
single
near impossible to do outdoors at this date in history. To do something like that with an outdoor shot on the fly, no.
you'd have
Especially
to be
not when you compare the two shots and you can see that they weren't taken in the same position. For one thing, you have two different angles, and
Yeah.
the other elements in the photos match up without any question. So that right there helps to verify their authenticity, because those are parts of the photo elements that are in both photos that can be proven to exist in that form the way they are. They can't
Yeah.
be altered whatsoever.
yeah.
Now, you can tell from distance a little bit, you could tell that obviously this disc is on the other side of that wire from this photo we're looking at. That is implied by size and by the actual way that the line appears to be coming at an angle from the pole on the right being further away from the person taking the photo, the telephone line coming across, and then on the left side being closer to the person taking the photo.
Well, one of
Now,
the points I was going to also point out is that it would be very quick and easy to expose a double exposure fraud, because all you'd have to do is look at samples of other photos that were taken on that film reel. So if he had a 35 millimeter reel of film,
Absolutely.
usually those were anywhere from 12, 24, or 36 exposure. If all the other pictures were, let's say, regular like exposure, and then you double exposed, it's going to be darker because you're letting in twice as much light,
absolutely.
unless of course you adjust the f-stop. But you can only adjust the f-stop so much depending upon the cameras. Back then in the 50s, these cameras weren't all that great anyways for that sort of thing.
There was not a lot of room for adjustment of anything. You were lucky to get focus adjustment on most of the cameras back then.
Exactly. So it would be very easy to look at that 12 exposure, 24 exposure, 36 exposure roll of film and say, well, all these other photos look natural. These two photos look like you double expose them.
Right.
Story over. And no doubt,
and-
under that scrutiny, Life magazine certainly back then with their reputation certainly wanted to
Sure.
would fallen victim to a
Oh,
fraud.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's probably speaks to Mr. Trent's forethinking that he went ahead and shot the rest of the film before he went ahead and had it developed.
Yeah.
It shows that he didn't put any special credence into it. He didn't try anything trickery. He didn't rush off to get someone's attention with it.
Right.
He went ahead and just casually, used up the rest of the film and then set it off to be developed. When
Yeah.
the pictures came back, we'll give it to the post office, let them hang it there for people to look at. And that was the extent of his publicity seeking with these photos.
Yeah.
So, that right there speaks a lot about the veracity of the photos as well. If he'd have been on some attention seeking and taking them around and doing sideshow carnivals in every town with them, then perhaps he would have been considered someone, out for gain instead of just someone who happened to catch a good photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that speaks the human nature also. Speaks to the most people would not be patient enough to do that. But also with these images, and reminding if people just tuned in, we'll show the previous image. If this guy was faking it, he wouldn't have had, like, because it almost looks like two different objects.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he was faking it, he probably would have wanted, his human nature, his subconscious would have forced him to try and make it look like the same object in both photos.
Right.
So that way
Go back one
say,
more again. Let me show you something on this other one.
Yeah.
If you look right by the corner of the roof of the house there,
okay,
you could see the lines of someone's thumbprint. And then above that, another fingerprint or thumbprint smudge right up there. Now, it's my belief, those are right on the negative. And that this photo was taken off the negative with the thumbprint smudges still on it.
Okay. Interesting.
Either that or the photo was scanned after someone had touched it and it was a bad photo. But I don't think that to be the case. I think this actually came through from the negative, a copy off the negative after the fingerprints were already... The oils had already damaged the negative enough to where they weren't going to come back out.
I see. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Good thing they didn't put their thumb on top of the UFO itself.
What I think would be interesting would be if there would be a way to find out whose thumbprint that was.
There you go. Maybe it was J. Edgar Hoover's.
You never know. Maybe it was J. Allen Hynek's.
Huh?
Maybe it was J. Allen Hynek's.
There you go.
You never know.
Wow, it's 7 o'clock already, Jeff. Did you say you had any more pictures, or that was it?
No, that was it. I have to keep people talking for at least the next, week.
Yeah,
huh?
Absolutely. Well, my friend, it's always a pleasure having you on, and it sounds like we definitely teased up a good show for next weekend as well, or next Friday. So we'll
I'm going to
have...
start putting that one together now, because that's going to be a big one.
So why don't you tease people that tuned in a little bit late, didn't hear what you said, tell them what you're going to bring us next Friday.
Next week, I'm going to cover the secret space program Breakaway Civilization.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let me see if I can pull up your information from the original. There we go. There's your website, your Facebook page. I have that there. So just go on Facebook. You can, I retweet a lot of his stuff, but you can also search Jeff Krause, Bug B8 Productions. It's right there. I'm also going to put in the Daily Specials recap, and then of course his blog spot, MUFONfieldinvestigator.blogspot.com. So you can get to Jeff those ways. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night for you. Let you go and be with your family and your bird there. There you go.
Live long and prosper.
Long live and prosper. Or live long and prosper. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and have you hang out there for a minute while I go ahead and close up the show here. So if you enjoyed today's show and you really appreciate... Whoa, there we go. It's a Bronco bucko. I gotta get these cameras adjusted. There we go. So hey, thanks again for tuning in to the Cosmic Cafe Show. It is Friday, February 12th, 2016. Oh my gosh, 2 days. 2 days. And it's Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's!
That's Jeff's disembodied voice. Happy Valentine's Day, Jeff. And to your lovely wife and your children and to your pets. There we go. We'll keep it nice and PC. Yes, anyways, so don't forget, as if you probably can't forget. And by the way, I'm not buying those berries. They've been way too hoarded out by...
Berries?
I just lost a potential... Yeah, they're never going to sponsor my show. So anyways, hey, have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday. Thanks again for tuning in to the Cosmic Cafe Show. I super appreciate it. Hey, while you're at it, right below, right there. Yes, subscribe. Yes, please. Click on the subscribe button if you're watching us via the the YouTube channel. We need subscribers. We want subscribers. We got a point to prove. We got so many good followers and everywhere else, but we need to get them on the YouTube. So you subscribing and sharing us, we'd appreciate it. All right, with that, I'm going to call it an evening myself and have a great weekend. You have a great weekend, and thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you later, my friends. Bye-bye.